The 1970s. A decade of wild fads and quirky trends that many of us look back on with a mix of fondness and a little embarrassment. Let's take a fun trip down memory lane and revisit some of those funny, unforgettable things we were all guilty of doing back in the day. 1. Pet rocks. In the 1970s, if you could sell a rock, you could become a millionaire. Just ask Gary Dahl, the genius behind the pet rock. What started as a joke over drinks turned into a craze, with these simple rocks selling like hotcakes. For a brief 6 months after Christmas 1975, everyone had to have one. It might sound silly now, but this rock turned Gary into a millionaire. 2. Polyester suits. Polyester suits were the height of 70s fashion, slick, shiny, and hotter than a summer day. John Travolta might have made them look cool in Saturday Night Fever, but let's be real, they weren't the most comfortable attire. Still, if you wanted to be a disco king, polyester was the only way to go. 3. Sid and Marty Krofft shows. Saturday mornings were a trip, literally thanks to the wild imaginations of Sid and Marty Krofft. With their big puppet heads and trippy special effects, shows like HR Pufnstuf and Land of the Lost were either pure genius or just plain weird. Either way, as kids in the 70s, we couldn't look away. 4. Mood rings. Mood rings were all the rage in the 70s, little accessories that claimed to reveal your inner emotions. Whether they actually worked or not is debatable, but that didn't stop us from wearing them and pretending they did. It was all about the colors, and if your ring turned violet, watch out, it was supposed to mean romance was in the air. 5. Kitchen colors. Who could forget the unforgettable kitchen colors of the 70s? Avocado green and harvest gold took over America's kitchens, turning them into a sea of earthy tones. If you remodeled your kitchen during this time, there's a good chance you went with one of these colors. Guilty as charged. 6. Saturday Night Live's Wild and Crazy Guys. The debut of Saturday Night Live in 1975 brought us comedy gold, especially the unforgettable Wild and Crazy Guys played by Dan Aykroyd and Steve Martin. If you were quoting them at the water cooler on Monday morning, you weren't alone. It was the catchphrase everyone loved to imitate.
How about a swinging drink? No way! You know, such a thing was not possible back in Czechoslovakia before we blew up the tanks and ran from them. All the portable bachelor pad bars were owned by the state. There, your slacks are really tight. Just like mine.
7. The casual look. Let's talk about that 70s casual look, shirts unbuttoned down to your navel and showing off your hairy chest. It was a laid-back style that might not have aged well, but back then, if Burt Reynolds could pull it off, so could you. 8. Compact cars. When the oil crisis hit in the 70s, compact cars became the new big thing. Unfortunately, they weren't exactly stylish. The Ford Pinto had a reputation for being explosive, the AMC Gremlin was clunky, and the Pacer, well, let's just say it wasn't winning any beauty contests. But hey, we drove them anyway. 9. King Tut Mania. Who would have thought that an ancient Egyptian pharaoh could become a 70s superstar? When the King Tut exhibit toured the US, it sparked a nationwide craze. Steve Martin even performed a hilarious King Tut skit on SNL, and suddenly, everyone wanted a piece of the action, even if it was just a t-shirt. 10. Avocado and harvest gold kitchens. How about those kitchens in avocado and harvest gold? The 70s were all about earthy tones, and your kitchen was no exception. Were you guilty of updating your space with these vibrant hues? 11. Disco fever outfits. Disco fever hit the 70s hard. From bell-bottoms to glittery shirts, the dance floor was filled with funky fashions. Did you rock the disco look or hit the dance floor in style? 12. Big hair. Big hair was a must in the 70s, and hairspray was your best friend. The bigger, the better, as long as you could defy gravity with your hair. 13. Platform shoes. Platform shoes were all the rage, adding inches to your height and a touch of flair to your outfit. They might have been tricky to walk in, but they sure made a statement. 14. 8-track tapes. 8-track tapes were the go-to for music lovers before the days of compact discs. The sound quality might not have been perfect, but they were a fun part of 70s music culture. 15. Love beads. Love beads were a staple of 70s fashion. These colorful, beaded necklaces were a symbol of peace and love. Did you layer them up to show off your groovy side? 16. Studio 54 fashion. Studio 54 was the hotspot of 70s fashion, with glamorous outfits and bold styles. Were you part of the club scene, rocking those high fashion looks? 17. Polyester Everything. Polyester was the fabric of choice. From leisure suits to jumpsuits, if it was made of polyester, it was in your closet. Sure, it didn't breathe and was a bit uncomfortable, but it was shiny, slick, and oh so groovy. 18. CB radios. Breaker, good buddy. In the 70s, CB radios were the social network of the road. Truckers and regular drivers alike used them to chat, share road conditions, and show off their CB lingo. Even if you didn't need one, having a CB radio in your car made you feel cool. 19. Streaking. Streaking, running naked through public places, became a surprising trend. It was a bold, spontaneous, and often funny way to rebel, especially at sporting events or college campuses. Looking back, it's hard to believe how popular this fad was. 20. Rubik's Cube. The Rubik's Cube was the ultimate brain teaser of the late 70s. This colorful puzzle challenged everyone to match all the sides, leading to hours of frustration and fun. Whether you solved it or not, it became an iconic part of 70s culture. 21. Waterbeds. Waterbeds were the height bedroom luxury. These beds were not only a status symbol but also promised a unique sleeping experience if you didn't get seasick. Although they've mostly drifted out of style, waterbeds were once considered the ultimate in comfort and cool. 22. Sea monkeys. Sea monkeys were a bizarre and fascinating trend. Marketed as instant pets, these tiny brine shrimp came to life when added to water. They didn't exactly resemble the happy little creatures shown in the ads, but that didn't stop kids from being amazed by them. 23. Farrah Fawcett hair. Farrah Fawcett's feathered hairstyle was the look to have in the 70s. Inspired by the Charlie's Angels star, women across America flocked to salons to replicate her voluminous, layered waves. Whether or not you could pull it off, everyone tried to get that Farrah flair. 24. Roller disco. Roller discos combined the fun of skating with the groove of disco. These colorful rinks were the place to be in the 70s, where you could skate to the latest hits under the glow of a disco ball. It was a workout and a dance party all rolled into one. 25. Pet turtles. Before the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there were just pet turtles. These little reptiles were a popular pet in the 70s, even though they didn't do much more than swim around their tiny plastic islands. They were cute, easy to care for, and a bit of a trend in their time. 26. Earth shoes. Earth shoes were a footwear phenomenon in the 70s. With their unique negative heel design, these shoes promised to improve posture and health. Whether or not they worked, Earth shoes were a hit among those looking for comfort with a side of style. 27. Tang. Tang, the drink of astronauts, became a household name. This orange-flavored powdered drink was a breakfast staple, even if it didn't taste quite like real orange juice. It was quick, easy, and part of the space-age fascination of the decade. 28. Macramé. Macramé was the craft trend that took over the 70s. From plant hangers to wall art, these knotted creations added a handmade, boho vibe to any space. If you didn't make one yourself, you definitely knew someone who did. 29. Match Game Mayhem. Match Game in the 70s was less about winning and more about the hilariously inappropriate jokes from the celebrity panelists. We tuned in not for the answers, but for the laughs, and there were plenty of them. 30. The Wild and Crazy Guys from SNL. Saturday Night Live gave us many unforgettable moments, but none quite like the Wood and Crazy Guys. Dan Aykroyd and Steve Martin had us all doing their ridiculous accents, proving that cheesy humor was always in style. The 1970s were filled with funny fads and memorable moments. From pet rocks to disco balls, these trends remind us of a time when creativity and fun were at the forefront of pop culture. Thanks for joining us on this hilarious trip down memory lane. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more nostalgic adventures. Let's keep the spirit of the 70s alive.